This is another great example of estimation. Let me read the question. As of 2024, the anime show about pirates, One Piece, which began in 1999, had how many episodes? Now, you might sit and wonder, well, this is such a specific question, and anyone who doesn't see anime or maybe hasn't seen this particular one, will just not be able to answer this. Um, and that's actually not true. For instance, I am not someone who typically watches anime, and I definitely have not watched One Piece or even heard about it. But I can still figure out how to answer this question. And that is the beauty of trivia. So we'll see that what matters more when tackling a trivia question is not just having sort of knowledge of a lot of obscure facts. Certainly, that can be helpful. But what is actually important is reading the question carefully, looking at the clues and the information that is in the question, and deducing, making intelligent deductions from the clues, from those clues. Okay, so let's see what information we have here. We know that we're told that the show began in 1999, and we want to figure out how many episodes had aired as of 2024. So that's about 25 years. And okay, now we might guess, well, what was the release frequency of these episodes? So here, okay, you might make the two sort of most common release frequencies for shows are sometimes like either the episodes could be released daily or they could be released weekly. So we could do some trial and error and figure out what numbers we get in either scenario. So let's go with daily first. And often when we say daily, we don't really mean every day, but we mean maybe say 5 days a week. So suppose it was airing on some channel and there were new episodes that showed up Monday to Friday. Um, okay, so then that would mean 5 episodes per week. Okay, so let's do case one, daily. And that would be 5 episodes per week. And there are 52 weeks in the year and 25 years. Okay, so what number are we going to get? Well, let me, just to make my calculations easier, instead of taking 52, just take 50. And 25 times 5 is 125. So that's 1250 times 5, which is going to be some really big number that is not close to any of the options that's given to us. So we can now assume that um, daily is probably not how often this show aired. Okay, so let's do case two, which is weekly. Okay. And computing that would be easy. I just need to consider now 50 times 25 and ignore the 5. 50 weeks in the year, 1 episode per week, and 25 years. So that would be, again, I'm making an approximation. That's why I've changed 52 to 50. And that would be 1250, which is very close to option C. Maybe the show didn't air. Maybe the show took like sort of a few weeks break every year. And therefore we get 1124 instead of 1250. Maybe it aired for say like 49 or 48 weeks in the year. Okay, so C sounds like a very plausible option. Now, you might also think, well, a lot of shows actually air twice a week. So there are shows that release new episodes on, say, Saturday and Sunday. And then there are no episodes that air Monday to Friday. And if that's the case, then let's think about what number we'll get. Well, if it aired any more frequently than weekly, then we would get a number higher than 1250. And that's really not close to any of the given options. That would be a much higher number. So I think we can assume safely that the show did not air more than once a week. And now you might think, well, what if it aired less frequently than once a week? Well, that's a fair sort of thing to think about, but it's not very likely, right? There aren't a lot of shows that say air like once every 2 weeks or once a month. Because what happens is then that the audience sort of loses interest going from one episode to another or forgets what happened in the previous episode. So, all things considered, an intelligent guess would be to assume that the show aired weekly and circle option C. And that is indeed the correct answer. Okay, so this is the takeaway, and this is something a point that you should make in front of your kids, which is not to get scared when they see a trivia question that they know nothing about. The idea is to be optimistic and look for clues and the information in the question and sort of work from there in a very logical and step by step manner.